Oh, hello. So I'm going to try and do a Star Wars Shatterpoint primary units tier list. Very off the cuff, very all by myself. I had floated the idea of trying to do this in a more podcast format, but the only person who is interested actively hates Shatterpoint, so hard pass. I'm going to try and talk. I have experience of most of the primaries in the game, one way or the other. I'm going to try and do my best to just really, if you are hoping to get some kind of real insight into anything other than how I see the game at the moment, then you're not going to get a lot from this. But this should hopefully communicate how I see things, and then we can have a back and forth about how that differs from how you see things. So what we have here, 6 tiers, okay? Just to make my life easier and make things more organized, I've put all the primaries into this unranked tier, and they're all in order, in release order. So we're going to go one by one, starting with Anakin and ending with Riff, and sort them into the 4, 5 other tiers. The way that I think about the tiers, because it bears thinking about, if something's in S, it probably needs adjusting down by AMG, right? Because it is the obvious first choice for that faction in every circumstance. Okay, if something is in D, it needs a buff by AMG, because what I'm saying, if I put something in D tier, I'm saying that I literally cannot conceive of any circumstance where that thing would be taken by a person whatsoever for any reason. Okay, and then you've got A, B, and C, which is where you want the entire game to be. A is going to be your top shelf things that the kind of the obvious choices, the ones that you expect to see winning and doing well at events. For something to be an A tier, in my view, it should generally have a reasonably diverse set of things it can go with. Okay, um, and second to the S tier things, they're the kind of things that immediately jump out of you and sort of recommend themselves something to be taken. B tier, I average, um, things that people can do well with. They're not quite as good as things in S or A. Um, that they maybe need a little bit more work, a little bit more thinking about how to use them properly. Maybe one of those difficult to learn, easy to master kind of primaries. Maybe a little bit obvious, but still very, very usable and very, very workable, and something that you can play games with. And then in C, we're going to have things which are, you know, you can do well with this, but you are making a special effort in some way or crafting a particular list around trying to make this work, if that makes sense. So we're going to start with Anakin. Anakin is going to go to S tier. Now that's a hot take. A lot of people aren't ranking Anakin as highly as all that at the moment. I have seen games where one player has taken a load of random nonsense that doesn't do anything and Anakin Skywalker, and if they're not playing into somebody that knows like to keep their primaries away from Anakin, right? Anakin can just win the game almost by himself. I don't know off the top of my head what the reasonable nerf to him would be. I would actually say, does he need to move the struggle cube? I know that that was his defining ability that he had since the original core set, but they've now layered on so many other things that make him so much more effective. Um, does he need to have that bit where he's moving the struggle cube when he kills a primary? I don't know. I don't know. That's my view on Anakin. I don't think he's miles away. I don't think he's dominating. I don't think he's a huge problem. We're going to put him in top of A. You can play around. You can play around if you know how to. Yeah, we're going to put him in top of A. I've talked myself down to it. So my gut feeling is C tier. Asajj got a rework in the balance update, which has made her a lot better, but I feel like she still has the same underlying problems that she always has, in that she wants to spend 3, 4 force quite happily, to jump multiple times and do a force push. And sure, if you're running her with, say, Count Dooku, who has the revenge trigger to get 2 force refreshes, it's not an impossible ask. But her problem continues to be as soon as she gets wounded, she's very difficult to do anything with. Now, she has a great kit. She has loads of ability, she has diceless displacement, she has all these things. She has one of my less favorite abilities where she gets force back when she personally wounds somebody, which I find she can't take someone from full to dead. So you have to kind of plan it round where you've chipped down a bit of damage or something else, then you're sending in a Sarge to get the finishing blow, and that sometimes just somehow feels like a waste. I'm just not a big fan of Asajj as much as I want to be because I think she's a cool character. Let's look at Ahsoka Tano Jedi No More. I'm gonna slot her into B for the minute. I think Ahsoka Tano is very, 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 very underrated at the moment, and I think I don't think Republic are the strongest faction in the game, but they are up there, and they have a really strong, diverse. But like Rebels are strong, but it's because of Cassian, and to the extent that Empire are strong, it's because of Grand Inquisitor. I think Galactic Republic have quite a large selection of very strong primaries. Maybe that just sometimes pushes Ahsoka Tano out a little bit. I do think she should see more play than she does. She has a really good revenge trigger, which is the heal, the jump, and then the attack. Um, and people love Kanan. Now, I know that Kanan's got ranged, okay, but but even so, I don't understand why Kanan gets so much love and Jedi No More gets basically none. I don't get that, right? I think she's being slept on by by a lot of people. Darth Maul. He's definitely better than Asajj Ventress. Darth Maul's a really good card, but he's homeless. You play him in Dathomir. I think you do play him in Dathomir if you're trying to make Dathomir work, because I think he's better than Asajj Ventress in that sort of Dathomir list where you're doing something like Mother Talzin box with Darth Maul, and then like Aura Singh with the Dathomir tag, and then whatever 3-point support you like. You can do Battle Draw, you can do Magna Guard. I quite like Padawan learners, but I think that's a fun list. But I think the one place that I see for him, but no, if you were doing, you could do Mandalorian. He does have the Scoundrel tag, and he can bring the Red Mandos for if you're trying to do like a Mandalorian 3-mere. I guess he has more than one list. He seems a little bit homeless, but he's pretty strong. So we're gonna leave him in. We're gonna leave him in. We'll leave him B for now. Sure. Uh, Obi-Wan Kenobi goes straight to A tier. Um, Obi-Wan Kenobi is such a powerful unit because he creates list archetypes of his very own, right? I think like an Obi list, we're just by his thing with Hunkers. An Obi list is a thing by itself that you have to have some kind of plan for. My wife's been playing a lot of Obi Boss. Absolutely. A lot of people on the online are talking about Boss as because of the amount damage potential that he can put out, and they're talking about like Boss with Hunter or Boss with Vader One, right? But Boss with Obi is suffering um, because they have a really good defensive expertise tree. You've got the hunker aura, right, on Fixer there, and then just pair that with Obi and his ability to keep those hunkers, to never drop them, to get to use one of them in combat, and then to get to choose to drop them to heal and dash. It is an extremely frustrating and powerful list to play against. And then Obi brings that, right? But then he's also not bad, right? He also can, because he has to spend a force to do it, right? But with his jump and then his extra dice, and then he hits things, and he's a good killer. He can use his lightsaber. It's not like he's bringing this thing that he's got, and that's all he's doing, right? Count Dooku. Dooku is a good piece. He has one of the first sort of, along with Darth Maul there, but he has a revenge trigger. He has a revenge trigger that's global as well, which is cool. It is only when primaries and secondaries are wounded, and you get a 5-10, you get 2 force back. Dooku's really cool, and he's still strong. It just doesn't. It's just really difficult to conceive of a list that goes around. Um, conceive of a list that goes around Count Dooku, right? I can't at the moment think. Yeah, you can run him with Cassian, right? Trying to stick to something vaguely thematic within Separatists, I can't conceive of a good list that kind of sits around Count Dooku and does things. Yeah, because Separatists just suffer a little bit to get 2 good secondaries on the table. And you can now with the Aqua droids, but you can't do Aquas with B2s and Count Dooku unless you're going to try and run Dooku with CAD. It's just not quite there. I think he might still be the best Separatist primary, but because of his 7 squad points, I don't think you can field him in the best Separatist list at the moment. That's basically my problem with Count Dooku. And then that brings us on to General Grievous, who is going to end up in the same kind of area as his boss, right? Because I think Grievous is going to go above Count Dooku because I think it depends how you're going to make your tier list. If we're judging primary cards in a vacuum and we're not considering all the other things in their faction, I think that Dooku is a better primary than Grievous. But I think once you remove yourself from the vacuum and you think about the rest of the lists, I think Grievous is the best of the 8 squad point primaries in Seps. And I think because there is now some interesting list building where you can do Grievous with Nossari and the Aqua droids, right? I think that squad, Grievous really benefits from getting the extra dice from the 2 aquatic units there. And it's like the old Grievous Vader 1 lists before they changed Vader 1, so he could only buff Empire and Republic. I really think there's something there with Grievous now that he has really good in-faction access to those extra dice. And I really wish I just don't rate. I need to get it on the table. I just don't really rate because you can run that list, and then in the other half you can run, Dooku with Kraken or Django, and then Magnas or the B1s. I just don't rate the Magnas and the B1s in that slot anymore. I just think they just don't have enough oomph But I think the star player of that list is Grievous. So I'm gonna have to put Grievous above Dooku. Yeah. Should I like Luminara and I really don't like Lumi. It's just the way she has to pay a force for dash. She's a primary, and it really bothers me. Um, and she does stuff. You've got the heals, and you've got um the looking at your top deck, and she's not D tier. She's fine. She's there. She does stuff. Do I genuinely think she's worse than Asajj Ventress? I think they're very close. Honestly, I think they're very close. Um, yeah, I think she's going to stay in C tier for me. Um, and part of it is it's that lack of a vacuum thing. I think that the Republic have so many really good primaries that I just think it's really hard for Lumi to climb out of the C tier. She doesn't do enough, and once she gets wounded, you're going to pay 2 force for dash. Who's going to do that? Yeah, Grand Inquisitor. Grand Inquisitor is, in my view, the best Empire primary at the moment. Strongly believe that. Strongly believe that. Because he has massive force regen, because he just has a powerful, powerful suite of abilities. He can do really cool things. He's not trapped as well. You don't have to run him with just Inquisitors. Run him with like Dark Troopers. I don't know what that list is. Like GI Moth. Get some Dark Troopers in there with that coordinated by strain. He has a strain on. I think it's on 4. Really improves his. I think that takes him to 9 on 4. I haven't got it in front of me, but there's a really nice breakpoint in there with Grand Inquisitor, and that's just one of those. Obviously, he's good in the Inquisitor lists, right? He likes to have at least one other Inquisitor, certainly in any list that he's in, to boss around. But that can be, that could be Vader 3. No, I really like Grand Inquisitor, and then just that really reliable, constant force, 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 force. I think he is the best Empire primary. Also in A tier, I think he has to be in A tier. Is Vader 1? I think Vader 1's really, really good still. Vader 1 has never been bad. He got nerfed, but the nerf only affected his ability to reach out and touch things outside of Galactic Republic and Galactic Empire. I think Vader 1 is. I think he's the Darth Vader that you reach for if you want a Darth Vader. I think you probably want a Darth Vader if you're playing Empire. And he's just. His ability to hand out those extra dice. I think he has playing Republic as well. Vader 1 boss is a thing. I think, I think Darth is powerful. But specifically Vader 1, I think, is by far and away my favorite of the Darth Vader primaries. I would be more inclined to consider dropping Vader 1 for Vader 3 than I would be. I don't rate Vader 2, as we'll see when we get there. Mean things to say about Vader 2. Yeah. Tal's in. I don't actually think she's very good. The Dathomir is such a tiny little piddly tag, and so yeah, if you're trying to make a Dathomir list, take her. I'd take her. I just think her kit's quite dated. She does stuff, but she really doesn't like being on Never Tell Me the Odds, or really she plays best on shifting. And other people play better on shifting now, like Galactic Republic really wants to be on shifting. She has interesting kit. I just think she's a bit dated, and I don't think the things in her box are like amazing. So she can do stuff. I think she's pretty surprised if she fell from top of C. She's pretty C tier in terms of I think if you've got a specific list in mind, you can do well with Mother Talzin, but you really need to be thinking about I am trying to make something to make this work because I like the idea of Dathomirians rather than just I'm making a I want to play Galactic Republic. I want to play this today. I want to play that today. What am I going to take? Yeah. We'll go for Mace. Mace is really good. Mace is really good. Mace suffers a little bit because, like I say, I think there's just so much in Gar that's really good. Am I going to reach for Mace if I'm a Gar player before I know the conventional wisdom is that you're going to reach for Mace before you reach for Jedi No More, but this is my tier list, and do I agree with that? I'm going to pop him because I can. I'm going to pop him behind Jedi No More. I think he's definitely a second pick, right? I think he's not Anakin, he's not Obi-Wan. Am I happy with Anakin being an A tier? Yeah, because I can conceive of playing. I can conceive of playing Galactic Republic and not taking Anakin because I can conceive of one play with Boss Obi or something like that. So I think we're gonna leave. I think we're gonna leave Anakin at top of A. Yeah, Mace is just a struggle because there's other primaries that are better than him. It is what is really what it comes down to. But he's not bad. He does really cool stuff. And if you like Mace Windu, if you like that character, if you like Samuel L. Jackson, he's very, very workable. You can definitely make really, really cool lists with him. Multiple different really cool lists with him, which is why he deserves to be in B. Bane. Cad Bane. Cad Bane. It's going there. Straight into the middle of B tier. Cad Bane is especially now he's got his eras unlocked, he is the glue that can hold anything together, but he's nothing's first choice, right? But he's at the back of your mind for all kinds of lists, like, oh, I can do Cad Bane, I can do Cad Bane with Cassian, I can do Cad Bane with Grand Inquisitor, I can do Cad Bane with Mandalorian, I can do there's so many people that I could Cad Bane with Hondo. There's so many people who like, oh yeah, Cad Bane. He's worth considering. He does stuff. His he's prone to having a kind of a lackluster turn. Although I will say, one of the biggest things that Cad Bane's got going for him now is that because his eras were changed, you can bring IG-88 with him, and Cad Bane benefiting from IG-88 dice is ridiculous. Is ridiculous, right? Yeah, I think I like him there. Padme needs to do something. Padme needs to achieve something, and I don't know what it is. Padme needs improving, buffing. I think needs to be able to affect Galactic Republic more generally as a start. My wife has every box for Gar except for Padme's box because she doesn't see the point. She doesn't see when she'd ever use any of them. So, yeah, Padme. Darth Vader. Darth Vader, Emperor's Servant. I'm not leaving it at the bottom of B. He can't be A tier because his name is Darth Vader, and I don't rightly know how many. He feels like he's about here. I don't rightly know how many points to dock off him for that. Right? He's not bad. He's just not the best model called Darth Vader, and you can't take both. So I think for me, he's very much a B tier because he's a workable, usable model in multiple lists, but he's not your first choice. I think your first choice is Vader 1, so he goes into B. And I think, and again, in a vacuum, am I saying that Vader 2 is worse than Mace Windu and Ahsoka Jedi No More? Like, if you're just comparing the text on the card to the text on the card, possibly not. I don't like his mechanic where he goes back into the deck. I think that there's a real danger that you just get kind of screwed over with that, and it counts against you. But I think in the context of the overall faction, I'm happy with him sitting there. Yeah, yeah. Luke. I don't know. Are there more? I'm struggling. I'm struggling with Luke a little bit because he's not bad. Decent hitter, can sit on a point. He's definitely not A tier. He's definitely not D tier. He's definitely not S tier. So we're debating between B and C. I think there are more. There's more than one list where, because I quite like the package that is Luke Skywalker, Bodhi Rook, and Pathfinder. I feel that does reasonably well. It's very tanky, but I'm not reaching for him often. Is he the bottom of B? I think so. I think so. I think Luke Skywalker is the bottom of B at the moment. Yeah. Endor Leia. Endor Leia can't be A tier because she's not, like, same problem with Darth Vader. She's not the best Leia. And I think, spoilers, well, we'll do it now because I can't really talk about Endor Leia without talking about PLC. I think PLC is absolutely A tier. PLC is gonna go. Try not to embarrass his show because I play Rebels. PLC. PLC has so much mobility. She can, for free, hand out a dash to both units in a support, which is really the key part with that, right? She can then pay a force to have a dash for herself or a dash for someone else, depending on where she puts the heal. She can also get a free dash whenever she focuses and also do a full move. So there's a lot of movement going on with PLC. She also has a revenge trigger, a range 5 range revenge trigger where she gets to dash and then clap back at the person who did the wound. And if she's on the correct side of her card, you can get pushes fairly easily with that revenge trigger. If you want to, instead of dashing someone else with the one you pay force for, you can also just pop out a heal anywhere on the board that can be really clutch for removing a pin if that's something you need to do. I think she's really good. And I'm going to pop her in there. Chirper. Chirper is C. Chirper's going to go top of C. Chirper is like. Oh, sorry. I didn't really talk about Endor Lair, did I? Went to PLC so I could talk prominently about Endor Lair and then didn't really talk about Endor Lair. Endor Lair is really good. She can't go in A because she's not the best Lair. Endor Lair works in a couple of ways. You can take Endor Lair with 3PO and Rebel Commandos, and you can drop that in pretty well anything with any other half, and she makes that list better. So you can prominently play that with Cassian, Ezra, and Baze and Choit, right? And not hate it. But also, there's a really cool list you can do, which is that squad, and then the other side is low grey with Chewbacca and Pathfinders, and that's a really nice little thing. but she's quite good in that if you're trying to do a Rebels, if you're trying to do a Rebels premiere, you can make like a list. You can have like that Endor Bright Tree list, and then you can have like you can have like a Cassian Jin list or a Cassian Kanan list, and then you could also do a sneaky extra third list in there, which was the Endor Leia squad with Cassian or with Jin. She'd also work pretty well because you have them both skirmishing on the midline really well. So I think she's really good, really flexible piece. Obviously, she has to take C3PO around with her. Oh, another really good Endor Leia list, by the way, I think would. I did try. I didn't have the best success with it, but I think I was probably using Luke Skywalker a bit wrong on that day. Um, Run Endor Leia with Bodhi and Endor Lair with Bodhi and the Pathfinders, and then Luke with 3PO and the Commandos, and then you got two steadfast blobs on both sides, which is pretty cool. If you want a tanky list as well, so you can't do that in a premiere because you need to have C3PO move around with her if you're gonna have something other than a 2x2. But I think that's a pretty cool list as well. So she's got a couple of cool lists. She's just not on PLC's level, which is basically her problem. I'll leave her there. There's part of me that wants to swap around with Vader too, but I bully Vader too much, and he's actually really good. Um, yeah, right. Chief Chirper is probably C tier, probably sort of top C. Chirper's really good. He just struggles a bit to find his niche because the best Ewok like if you're going to do Ewoks, you're going to do Leia Lograve. And even then, it's a really niche thing to be doing. And so I think the only time you're actually like Chirper's not bad, and I've played against him, and he's done crazy shit like one-shotting the Mandalorian. But honestly, I think the only time you're trying to bring him is you're trying to do like a 3-meter event, and you've been like, I'm going to do all Ewoks or something mad like that, right? Top of C because he's outcompeted, whereas Lawgrey, like, a part of me wants to put him in C because the truth is he only has one list. And everything I put in B, I said had multiple lists. But he's really the one list is really good. Like it's not like a niche. Oh, I'm not sure about that list. It's a really good list, and so does his one list being really, really, really good trump the lack of flexibility? Yeah. I'm going to slot Logray in right next to his best mate, Endor Layer. I'm going to below Endor Layer because of the Endor Layer is also really good enough flexibility. Nah, I can't leave him there. Oh, let's do that. Just because I think that's the CAD lists that are going to be like it's CAD lists that are going to be better than Ewok. He really is just representing his one list, and it is a pretty good list. It's probably better than anything General Greaves is doing. I go backwards and forwards. It's a hard one because he's representing one list, but the one list is really good. Let's put him there. I'm reasonably happy with that. I've talked about the grey list. Plo Koon is very much C tier. He's fine. Is he better than Lumi? Yes. Is he better than? Probably not. No. Yeah, he doesn't really accomplish very much for me. He does stuff. Um, I, I feel bad for the Republic, some of the Jedi in the Galactic Republic, because it's a case of like, well, there's other stuff in Galactic Republic that's so much better than they are. Yeah. Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon is gonna be either bottom of A or near the top of B. Do I think Moff Gideon is better than Vader 2? No. Do I think Moff Gideon is better than Jedi No More? No. Do I think Moff Gideon is better than... Do I think he's better? I think Moff Gideon is around about here. I think Moff Gideon is really good. I know, yeah, I think he is really good. I think he's a less obvious pick for Empire. But I think he's definitely... The trouble is, I think some of the Empire stuff's in a really rough spot. And what I don't want to do is just say, oh, well, he's A tier because he's one of the ones that I would always take just because there's not that much good stuff in Empire. I don't think he is. I think he's... Yeah, I'm happy with him there. I'm happy with him there. It's a faction balance thing. It's like, does he go in A because Empire aren't going to have as many primaries in A when the list's finished? You know, no, I think he's fine in B tier. I think he's fine in B tier. Yeah, I almost want to. I almost feel I shouldn't do it. I almost feel like there's a weird in my mind. There's a weird B plus tier forming, which is Ahsoka Tano, Mace Windu, and Moff Gideon. But no, they need to stay there. I can't make it extra tiers. That's not cricket. Hondo Wanaka is a C tier primary, and I mean I've had my backside kicked by the top ranked Hondo player on Longshanks. Right, Hondo Wanaka is like, let us go. I just feel like there are these Hondo truthers out there that want to make Hondo work, and Hondo's cool. He's a really cool like character design. He's got a really interesting personality. He's got a really interesting the voice actor is really good, and his like rules in Shatterpoint are just why is he bring 7 squad points? If you just had one more squad point, right? One more. But that's what I don't get about him. Yeah. Mando. People are down on Mando at the moment. I don't understand why. I don't get it. I don't understand it. People are like, oh, Mando. You know, people are like, I'm not going to play Mando. I'm going to play Armorer Maul, or I'm going to play Armorer and some other guy. And for me, Mando's he doesn't die. He can put a whole amount of damage. He can do 2 attacks or a flipping diceless displacement. Like, he's really good. I don't understand. So he's going in A tier. Yeah, I think he's better than Jedi No More and worse than Vader 2. Yeah, he's going there. Hunter, my hot take is I don't like Hunter. Have to put him in B tier because he's got really hot list at the moment. With if you want to do offensive Bad Batch, not offensive Delta Squad. Oh, I don't like him. I think he's overrated, and yet I'm putting him there. I get what he's for. He gives dice fixing to your clones. So if you're playing Delta Squad, and then they get their dice fixing, and then their dice fixing is great. But Hunter just never does anything. Whenever I've played against Hunter, he just on his activation, he literally does nothing. And partially of this is because I think that the Hunter's like trigger when you move your primary, he gets to move has to be the most forgotten rule in Shatterpoint, bar none. Bar none. There you go. I have no experience with Iden Versio. one of the few things that I have no experience with. My feeling is that she's still very, very good. I'm gonna put her in the bottom of A. I think the best four primaries in Empire are GI top, Vader 2, and then in some combination Iden Versio and Grand Admiral Thrawn, which feels very mean to Moff Gideon because I also rate Moff, but I think Iden. It's kind of about the package and what she brings. You're running Iden, you're running her with Inferno Squad. It's just such a good little thing. Yeah, it's gonna go there. I think Han Solo. Han Solo. I don't think Han Solo is an obvious pick for Rebels, but I think he should be, maybe. Han Solo might go there and displace Macy W. Han has the ability to do a full move and a full move for a friend, which is ridiculous. And Han has the ability to just gain you a momentum when your opponent gains a momentum if they're winning for a force, which is pretty ridiculous. And the thing that lets Han down is he has very finicky like damage tables, and he just often does nothing. And can struggle to even and can struggle even to get the conditions he needs to get out. And he should be able. He got that. If you're playing against somebody that's going to go, I pushed and pinned, and that's ridiculous, and I've lost, then great. I think my biggest problem with Han Solo, to be perfectly frank with you, is I tried running him into my wife who loves Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he is not the. I've done some chip damage and pinned you, that's cool. I've dropped my hunker and healed now. And then Han Solo just does nothing. So I think he's good. I think he could be in the upper echelons. I think Rebels are in a pretty strong place. I think he could be in the upper echelons of what it means to be a Rebel primary, but I definitely think he's hard counted. If Obi-Wan and anything else I can think of where if you've got characters where they have lots of like dashes in their defense and stuff like that, where you just can't. If you're playing against somebody whose team is very honest and whose day will be ruined by being pushed and pinned, then he's really good. And if you're playing with people who have either the Obi-Wan thing or just lots of random bits of extra movement and stuff going on, or immunity to pin or ways to get around it, like if I wouldn't want to run him into Luke and Bodhi and things like this as well, and the Pathfinder. I think he's just very quickly can have a bad day. He is somebody that I would consider in a Premier list if there weren't just other Rebel primaries that I liked a bit better. So I think he's up in the right place. Kanan Jarrus. Kanan. Kanan's really tough to rank because he's really good, but you have to be taking, in my view, probably including him, 4 Spectres to make him work. And he just constrains your list building so much in order to do the thing that he wants to do. Right. But the thing that he wants to do when he can do it is really good. And he's also gotten much better with Cassian. Yeah, I think he goes there. Is he better than? Or do I think he's better? Maybe he goes there. Yeah, maybe that's what I think. The S tier of the more Spectres, right? That's what's keeping him dragged down. Now, on the other hand, his wife, yeah, did they actually marry? I think they are. She is seated Hera is not that great unless you've got a very specific kind of plan for Hera. I'm gonna drop Hera there. I think she's just in that tier of yeah, you can if you really want to, and you've got a really strong idea of what you're going to do with it, you can make it work. But is it worth the candle? Thrawn. Oh, I was down on Thrawn, and now I'm not. I was blind, and now I can see. Thrawn has a lot going for him. Do I? Do I? Where do I rate Grand Admiral Thrawn? There. Thrawn is real good. Um, he just his ability to you reserve for free and then you can spend the force to give the full reposition. Just the fact that you can do that, that's the main thing that he does. And he has loads of other bits and pieces as well. But I think that's just such a clutch ability. Um, yeah, I'll leave him there. I think he's really powerful though, and I really underestimated him when I did my Empire ranking, I think. Oh, CT, blah, 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 blah. He's definitely in D tier. Is he worse than Padme? Yes, he's worse than Padme because at least with Padme, if you're like, I really want to play Padme, you can play Padme, and then in the other half of your list, you can put the best things you can find in Gar and make an okay list by like accident. Um, CT has the problem of not being very good and having really bad eras. And so there he goes. Lando is the epitome of a C tier character. Lando is fun and interesting and cool, and if you have a real plan for Lando, you do things with him. But like, probably none of those plans are actually plans. Is Lando better or worse than Hondo? Maybe he's worse. There's a trip. Yeah, there we go. Lando does stuff. He lets you build really interesting lists where you move scoundrels into rebels or empire, but the thing is, you just don't kind of need to a lot of the time. And he can be really good, but he's really luck based. And if you have the things and can do the things, and he's in the right place in the deck, he's great. And if you don't have the things and can't do the things, and he isn't in the right place in the deck, then he's not great. The armorer is going to go in the A tier. The armorer Everybody says the armor is the cool bit, and Mando is the also ran. I just don't think they're right. I don't know about Iden Verso because I've not got that much experience with Iden at all. I'm going to drop the armor in right next to Mando because it seems like the right thing to do, but I'm going to put them that way around. It's going to go to the top of D. I think he's rubbish, but whereas with Padme, if you decide you want to try and make Padme work because Padme is your favorite character, you then have to take handmaidens and what's her name. Whereas with Vias, if what you decide you want to do is what you really want to do is make Vias work, then it's like right, and then you can make a Vias Grand Inquisitor list that doesn't totally suck because you just take all the other really good things that would be in that list, right? You go, well, I'm going to take Vias with Stormtrooper Sergeant and Shore Troopers, right? And then I'm going to take Grand Inquisitor with, I don't know, either just full Inquisitor. No, Grand Inquisitor with Vader 3 and Snow Troopers. Sure. I don't know. Or fourth sister and third sister and just. But yes, you can make things that are not awful because the rest of the thing doesn't have to be awful. So gets to be the least awful thing on D tier. I think that is the only 3 things that are going to be on D tier as well. So yeah, well done. Kiadi Mundi. Look at all these lads at the top of look at all these public lads at the top of A tier. Kiadi Mundi. I don't think he needs a nerf. I don't think he's S tier. He's less than I think of that. Maybe it's because my wife always kicks my ass with her Galactic Republic. I'm just like, put all the Galactic Republic guys at the top of A tier. They're just oppressive. They are oppressive, and I don't understand how. Yeah, and it's not that I think that Jedi know more and Mace Windu are bad. I just don't think they're as good as those 3. And I think we're going to put a 4th Galactic Republic primary into A tier as well. Yeah. I'm gonna feel better if I put Kamek in. If I put and I don't know. Does he super need it? I'm so conflicted. Let's have a look at. Oops. Let's have a look at. Oh, Kit Fisto. Kit Fisto. Kit Fisto. Kit Fisto can go bottom of B. Because I think there's a couple of places where you could use Kit Fisto. You could do Aqua Friends. I don't think you should do Aqua Friends. And he's not bad. Oh, I don't know. Maybe he goes in C tier. Kit Fisto's just weirdly complicated. He's very mobile, and he's got a decent attack, and he doesn't do anything badly. No, I'm happier with him on bottom of B, sure. But like, if there weren't just so many better things in Galactic Republic, you'd take Kit Fisto and be happy with him, I think. Just kind of struggles because of his friends. Krennic, I was high on Krennic, and then I don't know. I can't seem. People don't find him an easy person to work for whatever reason. Let's slot Krennic in there. I believe that. Do I believe that? No, I don't believe that. Keep going. He does bring 9 score points, which is not nothing. So does like Cab, right? Is Krennic C tier? Krennic isn't C tier. There are a couple of good lists you can build with Krennic. Is he above the Separatists? Yeah. I think Krennic is just sort of he's playable, I think. He's just difficult to get the best out of him. Doesn't seem to do very much. Very tricky to always have him on the right side of the card. Yeah, that's kind of my view on Krennic. Fulcrum. She hits things, but she wants to be all of her force. You can make a list with Fulcrum. Is Fulcrum better than Luke? She does bring 4 force, but then Luke brings a refresh. I think she's on one side or t'other of Luke here. I'll put her above Luke for now. Cassian's in S tier. It's a number of times I've said, "Oh, or you could run this with Cassian." I think Cassian needs 2 nerfs. I would make it so that he can only his revenge trigger can only affect Rebel Alliance. Or if you want to be cute, Rebel Alliance and Scoundrel, and I guess that fits the character, but not just anybody, not just the Galactic Empire, right? You can't, or the Separatists, or people who are dead, like in the Galactic Republic. I think it either has to go down to just Rebels, or if you don't want to close off absolutely everything, make it Rebels and Scoundrels because he's a scoundrel. And then I also kind of think you shouldn't get to blow up the points for this town's ready to blow when you win the struggle. And I think you could change both of those things, and he'd still be very good. He'd still be near the top of A tier. I just think he needs a little tweak on his nose. And the reason I haven't got Anakin in S tier is because I don't think I can quite articulate what he needs changing. And if he is in S, he's definitely below K. I'm happier with that. Might do that. Might do that. Jyn Erso. Oh, Jyn Erso is really good. Jyn Erso is gonna go below Dar. Below Mando. Armor, I don't know. Everybody else really loves the armor. Jyn is insanely mobile. I've had games with Jyn where she has shot, dashed, moved, shot, dashed, rolled dash on her expertise, and dashed again. Like, what? If she just gets into the midboard and stands near your stuff, then whenever a momentum happens, then she spams out these heals. And if you're playing in a tournament with Mission Critical, then the ability to spend momentum to do stuff becomes slightly absurd. So all these things are, I think, in her favour. Boss. I'm piling all the Republic primaries up here. I don't know. The thing is, we're rating Boss, specifically Boss, and not Delta Squad. And I think Boss is probably the weakest bit of Delta. Could be considered lower than Vader 2. I'm going to put them there for a minute. I'm going to do a pass over these in a second where I sort of sanity check them and change anything I think needs to be changed. But I think we'll leave Boss there for the moment. Boss, you can play offensive Boss, you can play defensive Boss. He's got multiple different people that you can pair him with. He's got multiple different ways to play. I think he's just very good, basically. Yeah. And then we got Riff Tamsin. I need to get Riff Tamsin on the table. Riff Tamsin is definitely like down here in the separatist zone where they're all kind of been shoveled because of the deficiencies of the rest of their team. Basically, what it comes down to is which side of Dooku is he on? Because I feel like he's worse than Dooku, but he brings 8 squad points, and list building's kind of terrible in Separatists at the moment. Because because I think the best Separatist list, like I said, is Grievous with it's going to be Grievous with Rift's Bogs, right? Notta and the Aquadroids, and then you're either going to take Riff with either Kraken and B2s or Kalani and B1s, or you're going to take Dooku with Kraken and B1s on Magnus. Because Count Dooku was a visionary. Yeah. Right, let me sanity check this. So, do I think Cassian is the best primary in the game? Yeah. Do I think Anakin is the second best primary in the game? Because he can just swing games entirely by himself, yes. Do I think Obi deserves to be there? Yes, because he opens up an entire new way to play and does things that nobody else does. Do I think Ki-Adi-Mundi deserves to be there? In all honesty, he is very. I'm gonna leave him. I think he opens up a lot. He has a lot of movement. He has that force bubble thing. He does have an allowing tendency to run forward and die. We could. No, I'll leave him there. Grand Inquisitor, yeah. Kanan, PLC, Boss, Thrawn. Vader 2 seems really low. I know he's Darth Vader and everything. Sorry, Vader 1. Vader 2. Vader 2 can get lost. Vader 1 seems really low. He's Darth Vader. Darth Vader's really cool. Would I reach for Darth Vader before I reach for Grand Admiral Thrawn? Do I think GI Thrawn is a better list? I think GI Thrawn's a better list. I do, yeah. I think Vader's third pick. I think I can conceive, if I was an Empire player, I know Oro's going to disagree with me, but I think I conceive of going to a showdown list and playing GI Thrawn as my one list and being really very happy with it. So, yeah. Mando, Jin, Armorer, Iden, and again, I am not that sure on Iden because I've got no experience with her. Part of me wants to move Jin up, but I'm trying to just avoid my biases in favour of things that I play more often. And it would only be to swap Jin with Mando, but I think Mando's better than Jin. B. So then at the start of B, we've got the zone of characters that would be in A tier if it wasn't for the fact that there's already 4 characters in their faction in A tier or S tier, and so when are you taking them? Like, I think Ahsoka's very good. I just think she's hobbled by not being as good as Anakin, Obi, Cam, or Boss. And also, she means you can't take snips in your lists. I think Han is very good. I just don't think he's as good as Cassian, PLC, Kanan, or Jyn Erso. Right. Same with Mace, already listed the Galactic Republic primaries. And the same with Moff Gideon. I think Moff Gideon is really good. I just don't think he's as good as Grand Inquisitor, Grand Admiral Thrawn, Vader 1, or Iden Versio. So they're there. Hunter, yeah, I always struggle to justify him. Vader 2, we've talked about enough. He would be further up by a bit. Like, I think if where would he be if Vader 1 didn't exist? He'd probably be roughly where Vader 1 is, right? But Vader 1 does exist, so Vader 2's down here. We talked a lot about Endor Leia. Happy with that, happy with that, happy with that, happy with that. Happy. We get to the Separatists. They're fine where they are. Yeah. I think Ahsoka and Luke, right? It's the Republic, the Rebel bruisers that aren't named Kanan and Jarrus. Yeah, I think they're probably fine there. Yeah, I think that's just casting out of a C tier now. I think that's going to be the list. I think that's going to be my tier list. Now, I know that people are going to want to argue the toss, so please do. That's called engagement. Please come and argue the toss in the comments. And remember, I'm saying that S tier needs to take a nerf, D tier needs to take a buff, A tier are those top of your mind, off the shelf primaries that you're going to pick when you're trying to build a strong list in a particular tag. B tier are those sometimes foods, those people you're going to grab if you've got a particular fancy to do something interesting and they have generally multiple pairings or one really, really strong list that they can do if that's what you fancy playing. And they're quite flexible and they can be in different places. C tier are people where if you really want to make them work and if you have an idea, then you can make them work, but they're not easy to make work. They're not easy to get the best out of. And then D tier are the ones that AMG needs to take a look at. So we've got a nice shape for a tier list in the end, right? Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you want more content. I am going to be, currently while you're watching this, on Saturday, I'm away at a Shatterpoint tournament. Follow me on Longshanks and wish me luck. Cheery bye. Bye 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 bye.